Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Rich, I'm Griff, and we are in the middle of the Niagara Ironbacks season, but we will talk about that later. That's Mal's enterprise, and he's got some hired hands around that, including myself, and it's been an experience. It's really been great. But we will talk about the Blue Jays in Major League Baseball and the draft and the All-Star game. And so we'll get to Ironbacks later in the podcast. But in the meantime, I want to thank our subscribers for continuing uh, to watch, share, and please review, leave your reviews, leave your thoughts, and we will always try and improve what the product that we're sending out. But we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the Ironback season. We're enjoying the Blue Jays season, and let's get to it. Um, Mal, the Major League Draft is coming up on Sunday evening,
Right.
and it's continues. It wraps up on Monday. It's gone down to a 20 round draft, and it used to be unlimited. Yeah, you remember those days when it was.
Yeah, unlimited. That's right. You could keep going as long as you wanted. Remember that?
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
you had to pass twice to be out.
Yeah.
And do you think this format's better?
Well, it's certainly more suited to the way Major League Baseball's created their model. I mean, they've done nothing but try to cut costs, right? So, gather up the minor league teams, contract leagues, so there's less baseball available. I prefer the 40 round model with more teams. I think it's a better product, and I think baseball is a very difficult thing. And what I love about baseball, versus all the other sports, it's you really need to learn how to play this game, and that's what's great about baseball. You just don't. It's not the NFL where you show up and you in the NBA and you play, or there's not much else for you. It just goes to show you the different levels and how difficult it is to learn this craft. And anybody who's been involved in this game understands those little intricacies. So I think the 20 round draft is too little, but it certainly serves their purposes of what they're they're trying to do. So I like more teams and more levels and more ability to learn the ball game and give more kids a chance to play pro.
Yeah, I think when they cut back to four official uh, minor league franchises for each team, that sort of forced their hand in terms of reducing the draft because you can't have 40 players coming in and only
No,
four minor league teams plus the complex league, which is really just exhibition ball and getting to see players develop, as you point out. I mean, it's such a process and it's such a complicated game in terms of skill levels that the complex league has become very important. And the Dominican Summer League is another one that doesn't count against the four. But when you
that's right.
bring 20, more than 20 new players into a system, you obviously have to release 20 players. So
Correct.
at least this gives an opportunity to some continuity for your prospects. But I think the prime example of what you're talking about is that since the 2020 draft, which was only 5 rounds because of COVID, since the 2020 draft, 2021, 22, 23, 24, so 5 drafts, the Blue Jays have had 5 players reach the major leagues. And that tells you not to really pay that much attention to who's being selected now. The Jays had a terrific 2024 draft where they got Trey Savage, where they got Cal Steven, and where they got Johnny King, all pitchers doing very well in the minor league system in the first 3 rounds. But going back, you had Austin Martin, Gunnar Hoagland. You had this year Alan Roden and Mason Fluharty. And the other one is Swanson, who was traded to the Cardinals and has made it as a sort of a fringy prospect. So 5 guys in 5 years. Pay no attention to the man in the drafting room at this point. Um, but let's talk about, I guess we're in the draft mode here. Let's talk about the 24 draft and Trey Savage and his dominance at three levels of the minor league system. He's struck out 111 batters in 67 and two-thirds innings at three different levels, and he's now at double A. And he's in the futures game. The futures game is a precursor to
It is.
a lot of major league success. Do you believe that Yusavage could be a factor later in the season with the Jays, or do you think Buffalo, he'll end the season at Buffalo?
Oh, I think you absolutely have to consider it. I think with where he's at, his success, his age, um, I don't see much reason like to really baby him to that level. There's nothing wrong with giving him some big moments this year if they're required. I think that can help you. Like I sometimes I think we are a little too, like I said, the game is hard. I get it, and you need to learn. I just talked about that, but sometimes you need to push guys too. And I think he may appear to be one of those guys that can handle something at this level. And like I said, there's no reason that if he comes up this year and gets some big moments and big innings here. He doesn't need to start the season here next year. It's not, you don't have to do that. You can send him down to Buffalo again and, keep that development going. It doesn't have to be step A, step B. Like again, it doesn't have to be that way. You could push a guy a little bit, pull him back, and you're not going to kill his career. So I'm all in favor of seeing what a guy's got. If you feel he's ready, and he kind of has that vibe going that I'd like to see what he could do with as long as he keeps going a little, it progresses. If he has a setback somewhere, of course not. But if he keeps doing what he's doing, let's push him. Let's see what he's got at the highest level. I don't
Yeah,
know how you feel, but that's
the only caveat I've got is that, and we talked about it before, is that they don't stretch these guys out in the minor leagues. There's a protection mode. He's averaging four and two-thirds innings per start, which really, I mean, it's good to protect the arm, but you look at minor league systems all over baseball, and guys are getting hurt anyway. Like you got to stretch these guys out, I believe. And Cal Steven, the number two draft pick last year, is also a college pitcher, went to Mississippi State, and he's got 92 strikeouts, very quietly, 92 strikeouts in 81 and two-thirds innings. So he's averaging more than 5 innings per start. He's being stretched out more than Trey Savage is. And he's 8-1 over two levels with a 1.76 ERA. So there's a couple of guys that are just knocking on the door, and if the Blue Jays open that door, it means that to me it means that they're not going to be competing down the stretch. If they have either one of those two guys in the rotation down the stretch, it means that this dream season where they're won more games than ever before the All-Star break is sort of going to crumble. And the draft is not the answer to immediate. These guys were from 2024 draft, and I remember. I just want to tell a couple of stories from old drafts where the procedure was completely different. Everybody tries to imitate the NFL draft in terms of showing it on TV and generating interest for the young players, but it's different. You pointed it out earlier. It's different for an NFL team that can see immediate results from the draft and often does, and people gauge their home team by the draft, and that doesn't happen in baseball. I remember and I'm going back to the 70s and 80s, and there was no publicity on the draft. They would not announce what happened at the draft until they signed players because they wanted the leverage of players not knowing where they were picked, which in this day and age seems crazy with agents that agents would allow that. I remember Dave Hostetler. Dave
yes.
Hostetler was involved in the uh, Al Oliver trade with Texas. And Dave Hostetler, we were in the draft room, and John McHale was looking for I think he was picked in the third round, and was looking for who we should pick next with the Expos. And somebody said, Dave Hostetler, what do you know about Dave Hostetler? And we looked around the room and there was like 5 or 6 scouts there. It's not like it is now. And
Yeah.
then, has anybody seen him? No, nobody had seen him. So there's no video, nobody had seen him. And
Yeah,
John,
this isn't round 40.
yeah,
Yeah.
John McHale said, well, he went to USC and he hit a lot of home runs, and Rod Dedeaux is a good coach. So let's pick him.
That's
That's how
scouting right
scientific
there.
it was back then. And I remember I told you another time about the Condridge Holloway draft
Yes.
pick, where a young shortstop from, I think he was from Mississippi. And of course, he became a Tennessee Volunteer starting quarterback, the first black quarterback to start at Tennessee, and maybe in the Southeast Conference too. And so the Expos had drafted him in the first round. I believe it was 1971, might have been 70. I think it was 71. And Jim Fanning, who was the GM, flew down to his home to try and sign him after the draft. And he drove up the long driveway and he went, uh-oh, because there was a Tennessee orange Cadillac parked in front of the house. And he went,
He didn't feel good about his chances.
yeah, I do not feel good about my chances. And the parents welcomed Jim to the house and didn't say anything. And then Jim flew home, and all of a sudden the rest is history. He went to Tennessee. He broke barriers there, and then he ended up in the CFL. Didn't he win a Grey Cup?
I think he did win a Grey Cup. It
Yeah,
wasn't he the MVP too
I
of
believe he
the?
was.
Oh,
So
he's a great quarterback, great player.
he ended up playing in Canada, but it was not for these guys.
No, I sir
Uh,
Tennessee, Montreal for them.
right.
Easy choice.
He did come and take BP one time, though. I think it was with the Jays he came and took BP.
Probably, probably.
Then in that 1971 draft, we're talking about draft highlights from the old days. Of course, the first overall draft pick after it was initiated in 1965 was Rick Monday from Arizona State. And Rick Monday drove a stake through my heart
Yes.
on Blue Monday. Uh,
Yeah.
the Expos one win away from going to the World Series, and
Steve Rogers,
home run. Yeah, yeah.
relief. Yeah, we'll
Um,
let that go. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So in that 1971 draft, at the same draft, second round, the number 29 and 30 picks, the Royals took a high school shortstop from California. Phillies took immediately after that took Ohio University shortstop, and it was George Brett and Mike Schmidt.
Oh,
Crazy.
at the end of the first round.
No, second round, 29th and 30th
Oh, right,
overall.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, there were only 20 teams, so
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
math wasn't the same back then.
the two high school short or a high school shortstop and an Ohio U shortstop, and they both went on to Hall of Fame careers as third baseman.
As third baseman.
The story that I want to tell there is that the Expos had the 28th pick, so the pick immediately before those, and we took Dan Warthen, a left-handed pitcher. A good little left-hander. He went on to be a pitching coach, I think, with the Mets and some other teams. But
I
to
don't think
me,
they drafted him to be a pitching coach.
but to me, the story with Dan Warthen, because when I was there, we had um, Pioneer League team in Lethbridge. I guess Medicine Hat was the Blue Jays later on, but
That's right.
Lethbridge was the Expos farm team. And Dan Warthen was one of their pitchers, was one of their starting pitchers. And Tony Scott was a young black outfielder.
Yes.
And that's a tough place to be. That's a tough league when you go on the road to be a young black outfielder.
Back
There's a
then it was.
lot of rednecks. Yeah, a lot of redneck things going on. So in a bar after a game on the road, Tony Scott was getting a hard time from the locals. And Dan Warthen stepped up and he cleared the place out physically. He
Oh,
just
really? Strong
cleared through it.
fella?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was like 5'9" and 210 or something.
Really?
And he just cleared the place in defense of his teammate, which I love. And I've always loved Dan Warthen for that. But
That's almost worth the pick.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
mean, you didn't get Schmidt or Brett, but
Brett, Dan Warthen, clear got
Dan Warthen clear.
sense of
That's
a teammate.
kind of equalizes things there.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get to the All-Star game since it's going to be the same weekend. The Jays All-Stars. Obviously, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going because fans want to see him play. I mean,
Yep.
whether his numbers are there or not, fans want to see their people. They want to
Yeah.
see their stars.
And he's having a reasonable enough
Yeah, he's
season.
having a reasonable enough season. And the players pick at catcher was Alejandro Kirk. I mean, the players pick second, of course, to Cal Raleigh, who's got 36 home runs already. So there's no doubt who was going to be the first guy. He was the fan and players pick. But the
Of course.
second place for, I think, both, but he gets acknowledged as the players' second selection was Alejandro Kirk. So, to me, there's no question that he is the second best catcher or the second best
Yeah.
performing catcher at this
He's
point.
deserved it. He's earned it.
Yeah. But there is controversy, and I want your opinion on this. They're calling it a George Springer snub. Do you feel like it's a real snub, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's 100% a snub, a 100% snub. Um, his numbers they're elite this year. I know that's hard to believe, but um, where is he rank in um,
I
OPS?
think he's
OPS in the
third among outfielders in OPS
in baseball or in the American
in the
League?
American League. Yeah,
Okay, that's that. And third in OPS get you what in the league? Probably third.
yeah,
Like, come on, man. I mean, he's among the league leaders in like in that category. How is he not there? Like how is he not there? Now, maybe that goes back to your point about you can't have it one way and not the other. I mean, we want Vladdy there because fans want to see them. I mean, Springer's day is come and gone, I guess. You know what I mean? So maybe on that point, there's other players you want to see, but he certainly is deserving from a performance standpoint.
yeah. I mean, he is deserving. There's no doubt. I think earlier in the season when fans were making up their mind on voting and he struggled for a while. No, he had a fast start, then he struggled for like 3 weeks, and then he got hot again. But to me, fans don't forget 2017 and the Astros.
Fair
Players,
enough.
why didn't he get a players vote? Why didn't he get top six players vote? Because players don't forget the 2017 Astros. And why didn't he get a Major League Baseball nod as an extra guy? Because Major League Baseball doesn't forget the 2017 Astros. And I looked to see how many 2017 Astros have made All-Star teams since, in comparison. And Jose Altuve, of course, is a guy who was on that team, and he seems to be a beloved figure. He's 5'3". Everybody can relate to that. Um, but I think that Springer is just still being tarred with that brush of 2017. I mean, if he doesn't get elected by the players, what does that tell you? And I remember coming off the 2019 when the news came out that they had guys beating garbage cans to tell you what pitch was coming. I think technology and stealing has improved since then. But yeah, there was a lot of rancor from fellow players regarding those Houston Astros. I think that has a lot to do with it. What do you think?
Um, I'll I'll consider that. I think sometimes you're giving the players too much credit as far as who they vote for, too. Um, I've often seen how those votes can go and they don't take it as seriously as you think. And I think Springer probably has been removed from the consciousness of fans and players as an elite player. And even though he is playing at an elite level, I'm not sure he would register even with the players. You know what I mean? They're going to look at those lists and go, he's just not what they consider to be, in the category of the other guys that he's statistics, the judges. I mean, he's judge on another level, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those elite players. So I'm not shocked that he didn't get a player's vote, I'm not 100% sure I would go, oh, that's because he was on the 2017 Astros. But I think there is some validity to what you're saying. I think there's also some validity. They just don't take the vote that seriously, too.
Well, I mean,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
the guy that fans are saying shouldn't be, and even media are saying shouldn't be on the team is Julio Rodriguez. I mean,
Of
the
course
game's
he
not even
shouldn't.
in Seattle, but he's on the team, and that goes to your point of they just look at a ballot, see,
Reputation.
yeah, they could put a check mark beside the name that should be a better player but isn't, and he goes to the game. So yeah,
Yeah.
I,
So
I I agree 100%.
I think we both made good points there.
Having been in the room and asking players to vote on anything,
Yes.
it is makes you smile when you're doing it.
And or coaches.
Yeah,
And or
coaches
when
too.
they're voting
Let's
for,
not let coaches off the
yeah,
hook for
yeah. I'm
bold
just like,
love and stuff.
I'm like, how about I fill it out for you? And if you
Yeah,
agree,
Charlie
everybody's better off.
Charlie Montoyo had his 14-year-old son fill his out, so
There you go.
all good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Now let's talk about Max Scherzer, the legacy picks. Clayton Kershaw going, Max Scherzer's not going, Justin Verlander's not going. Should he have gone? Should Max Scherzer have been invited despite the fact that he's today making his fourth start or fourth or fifth start,
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, he's an active player. Obviously, should have the invite. Perhaps he would go, this isn't wise for me, but or she should just go anyways and participate. That is what, and we've talked about this before, Griff. This is no longer about winning and losing and the AL versus the NL. This is about a celebration of the game. So you like you're saying about Vladdy, people want him there. I want Kershaw there. I want Scherzer there. I want to see the legends of the game at an infomercial, basically, for the sport, because that's how you sell the sport. So, 100% he should be there. And we should probably have more legacy options. I think that's just what we're trying to accomplish as a sport. You know what I mean? So, I, he's an active player, and he fits all the criteria as far as I'm concerned, right? That's he should be there, or the option of being there.
Well, I mean, I was thinking a long time about this because I agree. I mean, we've talked about it, so I know that we agree on the fact that this game is all about the superstars, the icons of the game, and it's about sponsorship. You get
Yeah,
all these sponsors there, and they have events, and if you can bring Max Scherzer in the room, it's certainly different than bringing Mitch Keller in the room. Like Max Scherzer is a future Hall of Famer.
they're Hall of Famers who are still playing.
Yeah.
They need to be at this event.
But, however, I have another caveat. This is
Okay,
caveat number two.
okay.
Um, He has not said that he's done. I think they're waiting for guys like maybe they look at Clayton Kershaw, and even if he hasn't said exactly that he's done, MLB goes, "Oh, this guy's done." Maybe they just say, "This guy's done. Let's invite him
He
this."
may not realize it yet, but yeah, 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 yeah.
But for Max Scherzer, I think if he plays again next year, they'll invite him. Like as soon as he says, I believe this will be my last year. But if they invite him this year, how do they not invite him next year? I mean, that's just a quick point on that. So
But you should invite him. Like you get to that status of Hall of Fame or no doubter, you should just get the invite every year.
yeah, that's true. I mean, what
Yeah,
cost of it cost him a hotel room and flying
right.
family in and whatever. And yeah, no, that's a good call. Um, Now we got Blue Jays and where they stand.
What?
To me,
Surprise.
they were 2 games below on May 28th. We've been over this. Now they're
Yes.
15 games above. They lost that game against the White Sox, resting Vlad, resting Kirk, resting who else did they rest? Anyway, the controversy was shouldn't they put the foot on the throat with an off day the next day? Shouldn't they sweep? What's your thought on that? I mean,
Uh,
Kirk was a natural day off because it was a day game after a night game, and he always did it. I mean, he'd be sweating puddles if that was the case, you know?
yeah, sure. And it's not like, I mean, Heineman's been just fine. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
much
I
to
get
our surprise.
to our surprise,
Yeah,
very much. So I get that one, but yeah, you do put you do put and there's a lot on the line too, right? Like I mean, shouldn't say that. Like streaks mean something.
yeah.
It means something. Like you want to keep going. Like they almost surpassed their all-time streak. I mean, that means something to the guys in the clubhouse too. I mean, at the end of the day, like if they win enough games, you certainly forget about it. But when you're there, th screw the off days. You're trying to accomplish something that's never been accomplished before. The guys really want that. And I can't believe if you went to them and said, "Hey, given the choice, they want to be in the lineup. They want to compete. That's what athletes do. They want to compete." So I think it's in this instance, I'm all for the long-term plan. I always am. You're trying to win a World Series, but don't tell me with the off day coming up that you couldn't have, pushed it a little bit. And you're hardly
Like
pushing.
it's like our Ironbacks pitcher last night, J.J. Reynolds throwing 125 pitches because we had a chance to win and he didn't want to come out.
I don't know what kind of insane manager would have pushed somebody like that. That's,
Yeah,
you know what? And on, yeah, you're right. You didn't think about that. There was a young man who wanted to compete and win that ball game, right? Um, certainly, yeah. The athletes want to compete for sure,
yeah. So, and with the All-Star break,
and you let them do it. So,
yeah, well, I can be talking to anything. So
yeah,
you look at it. Well, I didn't even look in the kid's eyes. I just stayed away from him so he couldn't say, I'm done. Yeah,
Lord of
I
the
guess
Lord.
I don't know whether that's a good strategy or not, but
Yeah, no, maybe not.
he shoved for 9 innings and it was great. It was great
Yes, he
to see.
did.
Um, where do the Jays, like we're going into the All-Star break and everybody's all excited. The Jays are 50 and above. They have a couple of game lead on the Yankees and the Rays seem to be fading as we predicted as they play more road games. Red Sox are red hot after the Devers or
They
yeah,
are finally. Yeah.
after the Devers trade and some of their pitching is getting healthy again. Who knows what they'll do at the deadline? I saw the most ridiculous suggestion on MLB trade rumors where there's a possibility Alex Bregman gets traded from there. What kind of crap is that, you know?
Just sign the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
And then, like, would you trade Jaron Duran? His name is out there. To me, he's one of the best young players in the game.
that being said, these are the knuckleheads organizationally that traded Mookie Betts and did this with Devers. So, I mean, I suppose anything could happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, that wouldn't be my way to operate. I'd be looking to acquire more of those type of players, not less.
So the question is, where do the Blue Jays stand in terms of at this moment, could they win this division?
Oh, 100% they can win it. But I do. I think they're to use Michael K's phrase, or this is a first place club. Um, no, they
Plus,
are in first place though.
plus,
So,
plus 20 run differential, baby.
right, it's climbing.
15 games over at a plus 20 run differential.
It's climbing at least. I think they're in the mix with those three, maybe four teams. I think the Red Sox obviously took a step back with Devers. Um, but I think they're just one of those clubs, and one of those clubs has to win this thing. And they can easily win it just like the other clubs. Now, let's see what the Yankees do at the deadline. The deadline's everything to me because they're not as good as the Yankees. I mean, they're ahead of them. So this again, as I stated before, they could not have asked for a better first half, a better scenario. It's up to Ross and Mark to go solidify this this roster because if you leave it alone, I don't think it's good enough. You're fortunate to be where you are. Seize the moment, make the team good enough now because they've done their part. Add to it, and get after it. And I kind of think they will. I think they will.
Well, I look at it also, and we've touched on it before, but like to me, the trade target for the Blue Jays should be the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, they need a starter, they need a bullpen guy, and they've got David Bednar, who's like the Maytag repairman. He saves games for a team that doesn't have leads. So he's apparently available. He had a bad 2024 season, and his 25 is much better, but he's not. He's useless for a team that's dead last and not
Right,
going anywhere. And
right.
Mitch Keller is a fairly young pitcher who's locked up through 2028. So, they're losing Chris Bassett next year.
Yeah,
And,
he fits
and,
perfectly.
and then Andrew Heaney's a little bit of a longer shot. Left-hander, he's available all winter, and the Jays weren't interested. The Jays had a
Yeah.
chance to step up and say, okay, Andrew, we want you. Now, why would they do it at the end of July? But the point to me is Ben Cherington is their GM. He makes the decisions on trades, and he knows intimately the Blue Jays farm system. He knows all those guys.
Well, yeah, the
They
Jays
need
served
it.
up the GM to the Pirates, so yeah, he's familiar with how there should
Yeah,
be an easy working
yeah.
arrangement there.
They have a shortstop who's going to be out of there. They're getting rid of an outfielder, and they have a need in left field for an outfielder. And the Jays have a surplus of. I thought when they moved Nathan Lucas to lead off, that they were showcasing him for teams because they're so deep in fifth outfield, fourth and fifth outfielders. And when Dalton Varsho comes back, there's going to be a couple of these guys
If
are going to have to be sent out.
I love Lucas, but if you can turn him into something at the
Yeah.
high point here, that's 100%. You do it now.
And you've got Addison Barger, who by 2026 or maybe even by the trade deadline is going to have a position, one position, right field or third base. So you've got that. You've got the flexibility of a guy that is going to be a star hitter and isn't a liability at either defensive position. So, I mean, never has it been a hotter moment for the Blue Jays front office to make a significant move than right now.
Now, would you trade one of your big pitching prospects?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't trade Yasavich. I wouldn't trade
Okay.
Steven. I wouldn't trade Johnny King. I wouldn't trade Tiedemann. Anybody beyond that, I would.
Anybody beyond that? I mean, thanks, Griff. I mean, yeah.
And I wouldn't trade, who else wouldn't I trade? I wouldn't trade Arjun Namala because he might be the next Bo. He might be that guy. And he's only
The
19,
I agree there, and that's probably a guy that's been brought up a lot, but you've got to assume Bo is gone, and you have to find out about Namala. I
Well,
mean, it's just a natural
yeah,
replacement. I mean, obviously
right.
Jimenez can handle the job for a little while.
Even if
Um,
you're very interested in keeping Bo, it's got to be a two-way street. It's not just you want to keep Bo, so you're keeping
no, yeah, you
Bo.
got to know you keep him.
Yeah.
There's no doubt
So
about it.
until that moment arrives where he puts his signature on the bottom line, you got to keep Namala because he's could be the next Bo, just in terms of talent, in terms of because we don't know how good defensively Arjun Namala is, but he does have that upside offensively at 19 years old, playing in a advanced A league already and dominating with
Yeah.
home RBIs and stuff. So yeah,
I think you look at trading one of those pitchers, though. I mean, I think you may have to. I'm not sure Nathan Lucas is going to get it done for you.
no,
You know
no.
what
I mean, you start it. You got Leo Jimenez. You got guys. You got that are available and sort of have major league experience, are young. I think you could put a package of like Blas, Loperfido, and let that type of package. Will Wagner to get somebody significant because the Jays did it to get their guy. Or to give up. Uh,
Gucci.
Gucci, yeah.
If you can do it, do it. If you can give up B prospects, hey, knock yourself out. That's going to be the challenge. That's the talent at the GM level too. Can you put those a plethora of B prospects sometimes gets it done rather than one A, and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
lesser prospects. So it certainly is going to be interesting, and but this is their moment for sure. So
I got what?
they're finally in a spot where it's the other way, or they're not selling, they're buying.
Yeah, and that clubhouse, it's important in that clubhouse, just as we spoke about how important it is in the clubhouse when they didn't play their best or their top three players or three of their top players in order to sweep the White Sox. They didn't do that. Now, we've seen that experience in the clubhouse where a deal not made. I mean, you can recall, was it Alex in 2015 or
Houston,
whatever?
yeah, was it? Or yeah, was it?
2014. Was it 2014? Yeah, well,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, it was
And
14.
and they didn't make a move. And in Houston, there was a revolt in the clubhouse.
There was. I was on the trip.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time, and I think one that kind of changed the course a little bit. Um,
Was it
so
Casey Jansen and
Jose,
Jose? Yeah.
Jose and Jensen, yeah, they decided to make their views public. I can
Well,
remember those
and
discussions on the the how whether you should or shouldn't.
yeah. And then it didn't, maybe it was a 1 year delay, but at 2015, they certainly went out and made the moves that put them in position to roar down the stretch and make it to the postseason for the first time in a while. So, yeah, it's important at the deadline that the Blue Jays do something this year.
This year particularly, they have to, and it's also, let's not kid ourselves. It's forget about the clubhouse. It might be more important for the front office. The incentive is much higher than say Alex in 14. Alex in 14, it wasn't 15 yet, so we didn't
Yeah.
he was his position was solidified at that point, and these guys are not. So they need to win. So everybody is highly incentivized to make this team
Yeah.
uh, playoff ready.
I got one more question about I passed this over about the All-Star game, but do you believe every team should have to be represented or, because there's some sports where that's not the case.
100%, and I never used to, but it goes back to the transformation of this game about being just the best players and winning the game to this being about a celebration of game and an infomercial for the game. Every team should be represented, so every fan base has some reason to turn in and watch the game. This is not about the game anymore. It's about the business of baseball and the celebration and getting viewers. So yeah, everybody should be represented. I believe that now. My view changed over the years. I
Yeah.
don't know if you believe the same, but I do.
Yeah, no, I always have because like you, I don't believe that winning the All-Star game is the big thing, the big deal. It used to
It's
be
not now.
in the
Yeah.
American National League, but now everything's merged and everything. I mean, you see all the stars from the other league when they come to your city every second year. You see highlights every night. And I think we're all being inured to the diving catches and the home run robbing catches because we see them every night.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that every team should be represented. I mean, there's 30 teams. They keep expanding the rosters when people complain about their guys being snubbed. Well, soon we'll have like 40 guys on there. The injured players go and they get introduced, and it's up to 35, 36, 37, which is, I don't know. But as long as every team's represented, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, the Blue Jays have depth, but not depth like the Yankees used to, where you purchase your depth. They don't have depth at certain positions. They have more length. They have created a length through the batting order so that they don't have just four guys bunched up and the rest are all, routine stiffs. They have contributions all the way up and down. And that's something you can't buy. That's something you have to develop. When do you think or why do you think that the transformation, the perception of the Blue Jays farm system, which for the last 5 6 years has been ranked 20th to 30th, what happened? Why are all these guys stepping up?
And that's the reason why they're in the position they're in. And I don't think anyone could have predicted this. And that's why you love baseball. I mean, everybody thinks they know who these players are, and we all do these projection systems and all that. And, nobody could predict that all these guys were going to have these kind of years. I mean, you could see the possibilities with Barger, but to this level, Clement, Lucas, even Schneider's back and
Yeah,
contributing a little bit.
contributing.
Like that's what makes baseball fun. And the reason the Blue Jays are in this position is because these guys are creating the length. I mean, Vlad's just kind of he's been good, but he hasn't been unbelievable. Bo's been good, but not like off the charts, those guys. So hey, credit to them. So credit to them that these guys who are not A-listers, top 100 prospects by anybody's projections or anybody's systems level. That's why we said earlier about the minor league system. It takes time to learn how to play this game. And the more opportunities for guys to learn the intricacies of baseball, sometimes you get these surprises. And that's what I love about baseball. Like a guy like Addison Barger, let's see. Hopefully it continues. But man, that's the beauty of the game is to see guys that you didn't necessarily project as an instant star to become stars, where sometimes other players, Dave Hostetler's, you
Yeah.
know, um, that don't come to fruition. It's a thinking man's game, and I love that these guys that are actually, a guy like Lucas is a smart player. Um, they're given an opportunity to actually perform, and maybe that's because their system wasn't highly regarded. They're still in the system,
Yeah.
still playing every day and learning their craft. I love that the Blue Jays lineup has lengthened this way, and
Yeah.
and you know,
Because the Yankees used to just buy depth. If they had a great outfielder, they would get another outfielder who would start for somebody else and they would pay him better than that other team would have paid him. They would pay him that money to sit on the bench, and that created their
that's
depth.
right,
But
that's right.
this is length, which is way different, which has to be partnered with the minor league system.
And fortunately, it's happened for them because I think the Jays too. They did spend money. Unfortunately, they had a lot of money that you could argue that was misspent for a while there. So
Yeah.
they needed this to happen, and it has happened.
But
It's great.
I wanted to make the point that we agree on what I'm about to say is that with no salary cap in Major League Baseball, fans who say, "Why did you sign Santander? Why did you bring in Andres Jimenez? Why?" Because to your point, this emergence of farm system players surprises a lot of people, even inside the organization.
Yeah.
But don't criticize them for spending money because you'd be all over them if they hadn't spent the money for Santander, if they hadn't brought in a platinum glove second baseman and some other players that seem to be you've overspent on. But baseball is not like that. Imagine if a hockey team or an NBA team brought in guys and they weren't performing and they weren't playing, uh, the you would have a legitimate argument about money. But with Major League Baseball, no salary cap, it's beautiful.
Well, and with all due respect, I mean, I firmly criticize them for not bringing in more players. Um, it, I, you know, I- it was apparent that I thought they needed to do that. They didn't do enough. Santander wasn't enough. The lineup wasn't good, in my opinion, and it's been plenty good enough with what they had internally. So whether that's fortune or not doesn't matter. You got to give credit when it actually, it turns out to be, a positive. So those guys got a chance to play because they didn't go out and spend another 30 million per annum on X guy, X guy, X guy. So these guys played and man, they're playing great. So hats off to them.
So two more topics before we sign off and catch a bus to where are we going today? Jamestown.
Jamestown.
Going to Jamestown this evening for a game. And we'll get into Iron. That's the second topic I want to talk about because I believe there are plenty of tickets still available for the rest of the season at George Taylor Stadium. So we'll talk about it. And we're playing much better.
We
Uh,
are.
we're
We're having a lot
it's
of
competitive.
heartbreaking losses now. I don't know
Heartbreak.
if that's worse or better.
We're playing horseshoe baseball.
Yes, close. That's right. Right.
Um, the topic I want to talk about now is like all of this fan goodwill. And then Rogers goes and announces that the Sportsnet Plus package is going up by 30% on September the 9th. And it's going up $75 for the per annum. Like, what could they possibly be thinking? And do you think that they just don't get it? I mean, I
Uh,
know a lot of it has to do with the NHL owning the NHL package and how much they're paying for that. So, are the Jays just being dragged along, or are the Jays primary carriers because of the way they're performing? I mean, should they have announced that right now? I'm saying no.
yeah, it's corporate greed, man. I mean, I don't even know where to go with that one, right? I mean, that's the problem with our society. If you ask me, I mean, that's a different conversation. But I expect nothing less. I mean, seize the moment when you can gouge a few more bucks out of people, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna, they're all gonna pay. You know what I mean? So, um, do I like it? No.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it's everything's been headed this way with the preponderance of streaming games. I don't even know how to stream. I've never streamed anything.
you
What?
got the rabbit ears out. You still get
Yeah.
is Fergie Oliver on Channel 9 still, or
I put my
Call
foot
it?
in the stream and I use my cell phone. That's all. Um, yeah, so like they could have timed this better, and they already announced that the season ticket packages are going up next year, and they're pushing people out of their seats back up into the stands so they can create a higher level of tickets for for that season ticket holders' current seats. So I guess it's corporate, it's whatever, but it's not good.
Well, and what happened this year, right? I mean, the season ticket base severely declined.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, you win, and I guess you try to do those things. You lose and you wear it like they are this year. So if they had not been good this year, would have been trouble in the hen house. You know what I mean? Like, and I've lived through those lean years where nobody knows the season ticket count, even internally, because nobody's allowed to know. It's that low.
right.
So
And
when you get the opportunity, you push.
every September, I remember those days. The attendance would be announced, and I would look around the ballpark and I'd shrug at Howie or whoever was there, Jay, and they would just shake their heads because they thought I was an idiot.
Well, you could start counting if you wanted to and be done before.
Every September, I remember Bud Selig had this plan where every team was given commissioner's office batch of tickets, and it was almost like Bud Selig in New York would throw these tickets in the air, and they would count, and you'd look around, you never knew. I mean, I think a lot of those years, 1.2, 1.4 million was not exactly correct. Am I correct?
Not exactly correct is right. Yeah. And hey, we go back to the start of this year. I mean, there were no crowds announced under 20,
Yeah.
and that was, in my opinion, a very conscious decision to make sure, even though
Yeah.
there most certainly were. Fortunately, they're winning games, and that's not a concern anymore.
And I guess with the wandering neighborhoods up in the outfield, it's sort of hard to really gauge because I have friends, we have players on our Ironbacks who went
I
to a
do.
game and they had seats and then they wandered and so the seats looked empty, but they were there. They were there. That was a game they walked it off in the ninth inning. It was a good game
The back-to-back bombs, I
for
think.
the Ironbacks to be inspired by.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't
Well,
work, but
before we go on, I just want to shout out because one good thing about what the Blue Jays do is the Jays social media team. They do a great job. I
they
mean,
do.
you see all the major league websites, and the Jays do a good job. Ali Khan, George, and Richard Lee Sam, they're leading that way, and they have a great relationship inside the clubhouse with players and coaches. I just want to shout out to those guys.
Well, and I can tell you just from personal experience, I was there when Ali Khan got hired and what everybody's view of social media was at the time. And anytime you get somebody new involved that's a foreign, concept at the time, it's not that easy to infiltrate like a clubhouse. And in fact, not only was it not that easy, it wasn't even allowed. It wasn't
Yeah,
allowed to go down here.
absolutely.
So to see how you can build your brand, build your product by, what it's become. And you're right. They do a tremendous job. And hey, man, Ali Khan, he's obviously been integral because he was there from day one. And, it's just funny how that part of the business has morphed into something very, very important. And literally, that's part of the PR side that's changed and wasn't embraced, which for a lot of reasons, and obviously should have and is now because it's just a vital part of the business.
Yeah.
So,
And
right, good on them, good on them.
they've made a huge impact within the fan base, and the creativity is very subtle and it's repeatable by fans, and they can follow up on it. And that's what makes a good social media group, and that's what they got. Now let's wrap up with an Ironbacks report. You got a big game coming up on Monday at George Taylor.
Well, Saturday too. We're home
Saturday and
Saturday
Monday.
and home Monday. We actually have the Centennial College journalism students coming out. They're going to be doing some features, some television features, some one-on-ones. I'm sure they might interview even our grizzled veteran manager at some point.
My
So,
door is always open.
yeah,
I'm the
yeah,
only media that we've had so far,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The door is always open. Just don't open the door. Yeah. Or else.
There's no door on it. That's why.
Yeah, there's no door on them. That's also true. Uh, so I'm excited about what's to come as we wrap up these last 2.5 weeks. It's been an incredible journey from start to finish, and um, as I can see the end in sight for this year, I'm finding a lot more rewards in it, and just the special group of men. And my hat goes off to you. Obviously, our win-loss record isn't where it needs to be, and to keep a group of young men inspired and competing. To me, it's unheard of. So I congratulate you and Mike Nightingale, our pitching coach, on that sort of clubhouse environment. So, but I do expect a couple more wins here. So just so you know,
Yeah, we're gonna go beat those
and
Tarp Skunks tonight. So,
yeah, I think we're going to do that. So I
and
encourage
I do
anybody who
feel
wants to come down and
I do feel a lot more empathy with John Schneider and Pete Walker. I think I'll go back covering them for the final 2 months and never be able to say a bad word.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. See, I understand, fellas. You need to look for another scapegoat. I don't know, third base coach, maybe,
No, that's me again.
Yeah, that's you. That's
How
right.
many times are we caught stealing third? Every
I
day.
think I think it's been brought up once or twice. It's even getting into the fan base in the play-by-play crews, even questioning your. You're definitely
Anyway,
aggressive, but if people want to come out and obviously, um, this year's kind of been a test run for us with our year one, and we're building this thing. So people will hear a lot about the Niagara Ironbacks even as we move into next year. So it's certainly we go every day. So it's been quite a journey. I'm sure you'll agree. So uh, if anybody wants to come out and say hi, we're there. There's no question.
ironbacks.ca. You can get all the information there, the schedule. You can buy tickets online, right?
Yeah, you sure can. Or at the door, even.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of Exit Philosophy, and we are headed for a bus and headed to Jamestown. And thank you all for
Beautiful.
listening, and thank you for sharing, reviewing, and remaining loyal as we put this Ironbacks project up on the board. So we appreciate it, and we'll be at you again next week. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, everyone who's listening, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.